Who loves their rhubarb, loves their rhubarb. I'll also be talking to trombone player Will McLean about a new toy to help him play after we hear his band. A bit of ska to kick us off today. This is The Vibes and Working. The John Toll Show is open for business. Sit down now, sit down, calm yourself, get your breath back, That was The Vibes and Working. The trumpet solo was Nathan Simpson. It was written by Stephen Faherty and featured our first guest this morning on the trombone, because Will McLean is a trombone player and trombone teacher whose left arm is paralysed. And this week, Will received a piece of kit that will basically revolutionise how he plays. And he's on the line. Morning, Will.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me on your show.
Not at all. Were you lapping around there to the vibes?
I just loved hearing the vibes music. You know, it's such a privilege to play with those chaps and my brothers in the vibes. They're such a lovely bunch of boys and fellas. So it's such a great musical adventure to be part of, because we write the tunes between ourselves. You know, the singer Donald Scullion is just one of the most talented singer-songwriters I think Northern Ireland has at this minute in time. He's a real superstar, you know. So
yeah, sounded great.
Yes, it's real good.
Great place to get people up and get the blood pumping and get the corpuscles doing whatever corpuscles do.
Absolutely. It was just, my toe was tapping away there, and I could just imagine myself being on stage, you know, in the Empire or in Voodoo or anywhere, you know, that we would perform, you know.
So this week, well, you've been waiting on the post, basically.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a very exciting week, John, so it has. So my left arm is paralysed due to, I had a huge stroke over 3 years ago in October 17. And at the time, my whole left side was paralysed. My leg, my core, my arm. But I've done very well, you know, and I can walk and drive again. But just now my left arm and hand is still in paralysis. But I work very hard, you know, at physio, and I go to private neuro physio, a specialist in Belfast who I go to, and I work very hard, you know, as much as I can. And it's relaxing. The big thing about stroke is tightness and spasticity. But my arm is relaxing.
And you were a young man, well, when you had the stroke.
I was 44, John, so it was a real shock and out of the blue. But looking back on it now, the medical advice said it was a ticking time bomb. You know, it could have happened at any time.
You said to me you weren't eating properly, and you kind of, you know, you weren't necessarily looking after yourself.
Well, I'm a trombone player, John, so I've had a very colourful past. You know, trombone players are notorious for loving their kebabs and curries and parties. So I had enough of partying and had enough kebabs. So, but maybe I didn't put my health as a priority, but I certainly do now. And every day I'm grateful to be alive and grateful to wake up, you know, with a clear head and to be able to play my music, you know. It's just great.
And basically, you said to me you were sitting watching a film, basically, one night.
Yes,
when it happened.
I was sitting watching a film with my wife, and I remember my wife saying, "I'm going to bed," and I said, "I'd like to watch the end of it," and just boom, I woke up on the floor, and it had obviously happened. I knew something severe had happened, but I didn't want to panic because I knew if I panicked, I would make things worse. So I just basically opened up in the consciousness and then floated back into unconsciousness, you know. And every time I woke up or I became conscious, and that was maybe 20, 30 times during the night, because I lay there from midnight until my daughter found me at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but every time, and this is the incredible thing, every time I woke up, I could hear like a samba Latin groove of piano, bass and drums going on in my head. And I'm totally convinced that music kept me alive, and the chaos and damage that was happening in my brain at the time, I'm convinced that music, you know, switched me off to the bad event that was happening and just kept me living, you know.
And this music wasn't on the TV, this was literally happening.
No, it was going on in my head, just like a backing track, you know. I love playing jazz, and before my stroke I had been playing with a lot of blues and sort of funk bands, and I had a real interest in jazz and knowledge, and I was sort of trying to teach myself how to play jazz and taking advice from different musicians around the country and just trying to grow as a jazz musician. So I would have done a lot of practice with backing tracks at that time, and this was just exactly what I was hearing in my head, just the piano, bass and drums sound. So, and then when I was in the ambulance, you know, I live in Portadown, and we were rushed to Craigavon Hospital, and luckily I was met with a stroke specialist who scanned me, and he said, "This isn't good, this is massive, so we need to get you to the Royal," you know. So they blew lighted me up the motorway to the Royal, and the whole way I was hearing the same backing track, and I was singing these improvised trombone lines in my head. And I remember the whole journey clear as day, honest to goodness, every junction that we hit until we got to the Royal, and even being rushed into the NE, into the theatre. I could still hear these lines and lyrical trombone improvisations in my head. So I'm totally convinced that music kept me alive and just kept me going, you know. So it has been a big part of my life before my stroke and after my stroke. You know, performing with the Vibes, who you've heard, you know, those guys could have, you know, got somebody else in for all the gigs. But no, they just stopped and took a break and waited for me to rest and recover, and which I'm very grateful.
Did you think at that stage, did you, among your many thoughts, I'm sure at that stage, did you think, I'll not play the trombone again?
No, I had visions. I was lying in the Royal in a very bad state, in the Royal, and I knew had these visions of me playing at like stroke conferences, and hopefully inspiring others, in the future. And I knew music was going to be a big part of my life. So I'm very grateful to the Arts Council of Northern Ireland. They have funded me money to have Michael Rath. Michael Rath makes the most fabulous trombones, and he's based in Yorkshire, in a little village there, and has a world-class setup. His trombones are played literally all over the world, in America, Europe, Asia. So they really are high-class instruments, and I'm very privileged to own one now. So that he has made for me, but not also the trombone. He's adjusted the trombone with moving the poles about in the post, so I have more room for my left hand.
Yeah, so for people who aren't familiar with the trombone, obviously you hold it out, and the slide that changes the tones, that changes the notes.
Yes, the slide goes in and out.
That's your right hand, isn't it?
You move that with your right hand, and then the lips create a buzz that creates the note in the mouthpiece, and it's those vibrations that would create the sound.
So the left hand is really just to hold it steady?
Just to hold it steady. And
so if your left hand isn't working properly, then you need something, a kind of stand that's going to hold that in the right place for you.
Yes. So I had a bit of an adventure when I was, on a bit of a journey with. There's a device called an ergobone, which is made in Finland, and it's like a clamp that holds on to the trombone, and it goes into a chest strap. But I just found it very wobbly. So then a very clever technology feature in my wife's school. She's the head of music in Newbridge Integrated School in Knockbricklands, and a very clever technology feature there is also a saxophone player, Stephen Clark. He made me this stand that I could adjust the height of and put this ergobone into, and I was able to play music. I was able to go to rehearsals and play. So it was fun.
So you're going to play something for us?
Yes.
You're going to give us a wee blast. You have a setup there. Describe what the setup is then.
Well, I have this beautiful Rath. It's an R2. The model is an R2, but it's a beautiful trombone. It has most trombones are either silver or brassy yellow, but this is actually gunmetal grey. It's a silver trombone, but he sprayed it gunmetal grey, and it's just beautiful. And inside the bell is highly polished steel, or highly polished nickel and silver nickel, and he's designed a lovely star shape in the bell. So it's really quite a beautiful instrument, not just to play, but also to look at. So the big bonus about this trombone is the adaptations, but also the stand that he has constructed. So he's built this really sturdy, rigid stand and a bracket that attaches the trombone onto the stand. So I'm just going to put it on here, and
give us a wee blast.
And I'll give you a couple of tunes just to hear, but it's a lovely clear sound, and I'm very, very happy with it. So
here we go. Live trombone, BBC Radio Ulster, BBC Radio Foyle. This is Will McLean.
So this is a little tune called Bewitched, which is a beautiful melody.
Gorgeous. That's Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered. Played for us live. Will McLean. Back teaching. back playing, and thanks to his new piece of kit that arrived this week. Well, it's great to talk to you. Enjoy it, and hopefully when all this clears, we'll see you in the Empire, or see you with the Vibes, or see you somewhere.
Oh my goodness, we cannot wait to get together with the Vibes again and perform. So
absolutely. Listen, thanks a million for joining us this morning, Will, and well played.
Thank you, John.
Good luck.